Welcome back, travelers, and today we are going to be going over the third chapter in Django Wexler's The Gathering Storm. So it opens up with Ral, and Ral is basically already doing what Nimazet told him to do, which is go get the guilds on the same page. This particular page, of course, being to turn Nimazet into the Living Guild Pact, the new Living Guild Pact. Well, the best way to do that, according to Ral, makes sense though, is to go to the people who make the laws, and the people who enforce the laws, so Azorius and Boros. Now, what's cool about that is the fact that we have the Azet, which are red-blue, the Boros, which are red-white, and the Azorius, which are white-blue. So together, they all make the red-white-blue color combinations, all the different possible guilds in those colors. Everything doesn't have green or black in it. So it kind of gives that like sense of that unity between the group. And as he shows up, things go relatively smoothly. Yeah, the Boros are much more likely to want to get in a scuffle. And the Azorius are very much bureaucrats, and Ral, of course, is Ral, and we find a lot about Ral in this particular chapter. But like I was saying, these three different guilds, despite their minor differences, they can all agree, like, yeah, this is an unknown problem. We should definitely try and do everything in our power to stop it if it's as terrible and dangerous and evil and bolasy as you say it is. But we'll just take your word for it, and we're going to work together. So what winds up happening is that at this meeting between the Aurelia, Ralzarek, and Desperia, you have Dovin Bond sitting in. And obviously we already know that Dovin Bond is going to be one of the main villains of the War of the Spark book, and that whole moment, that whole idea of the Azorius being under his control, and he's right there listening to them talking about fighting Bolas. And Dovin even says, he's like, yes, I had a run-in with the dragon as well, and I believe Jace may be dead as well. Yes, it is very, very possible. And it's like, what? Dovin, you're so sneaky, you're so calculating. And really that is the way that Dovin is. It's just like he's actually described as just being sitting there like this. Like he is in full on like James Bond villain calculated thinking, and like just he's a great villain. It's like it's so much fun to dislike him, I think is the thing I like about Dovin Bond. It's like you don't like him, but you like that you don't like him, because he doesn't, like, he has I could do a whole thing on Dovin Bond if people wanted me to, because he's got a lot of potential and all that stuff. But back to the story. So, like I was saying, Ral kind of gives up the facade that planeswalkers don't exist. Now, Asperia knows, Aurelia knows, obviously Dovin backs it up because he's a planeswalker. And Ral basically just says, trust me, you don't want to have to deal with Nicol Bolas. He's a bad guy. He's gonna mess you up if he gets the chance. And they're like, how do you know this? And he goes, just trust me. As Ralzarek leaves, he is going through the stalls and the marketplace, and it's just like this atmosphere of like, you wanna be there. You wanna go and experience that world where like there's smells and there's foods and there's all sorts of, it's like going to a flea market when you're going in, there's like you know how it is. You go to like a flea market, there's a pothole in the ground with some water in it that's been there for like a year, and you're walking past it and you're like, oh, I'm just not going to touch that. And you keep going, and you see a guy and he's yelling, and you see another guy and he's got music playing, trying to get your attention. And then you get to the stall with like all the food in it, and you see the guy in the back, and he's got like a real big vat of lemonade, and he's just going like that with his arm to stir it. And it's like, it's going to add that extra little kick to it, but I'm going to get some of that. And like, you got the gorditas, and it's delicious. It's fantastic, and like that's the kind of vibe I was getting there. But while he's in that whole thing, a little elf girl comes up to him, and she's like, "Hey, Ral, somebody wants to talk to you about Bolas, whatever that means." And he's like, "Little girl, who sent you?" She's like, "Just go to the bench." And so he goes to a bench, and he's sitting there, and Lavinia does like the whole like secret agent, don't look behind you, but I'm going to talk to you right now. And like they're talking to each other, and she's like, so there's people working for Bolas in the guilds. He's got a whole network going on. I'm seeing where a lot of people are, but I need to get a good grip so I don't spook them and they'll wind up like activating early, basically. And Ral's like, yeah, well, I'm sure the Demir are already in on it. And she's like, well, it's pretty much everyone. Everyone's got something. And I like that there's like this, you don't know how they're going to get to the point where they are in War of the Spark. A big part of that being the reveal at the very end, which I'll get to. So Razorek is on his way home. And while he's on his way, it's really cool because it's like I was saying, it's not just fireballs, mind magic, lightning, dragon breath. It's not an elementals. It's not like that. There's not like these clashes happening. Instead, it's his life. And he sees a Viashino and he's like, hit me with your best shot. And she's like, sure. And she gives him some curry and 2 bags of curry because of his partner. But it's cool because it's a Viashino. Viashinos don't get a lot of screen time, but these Viashino are basically, she's a cook. And he talks about later on how being an Azet guild member means that you have to kind of get used to Viashino cooking. And it's like just like a very particular thing. Like you have to get used to spicy food because there's literally fire in your gut because there's fire everywhere. And Razorek, that's what he likes. He wants the spiciest possible food. So Ral gets home. He sees Tomek. He greets Tomek. You kind of get a good feel for how passionate Ral is, which makes sense because he is red. But there they are, sitting down, unwrapping their curry, and Tomek says that he's able to figure out which one is his because when he smells it, it doesn't destroy his nostrils, which makes sense because Razorek is literally like, it's described as like basically just pure fire given food form, and it fits him. So kind of all that's happening, you have all these different characteristics being revealed about the place, about Ral. I love it. And then Ral goes to sleep. Ral's dream is basically just talks about his childhood, and it's very cool because you kind of get to see where he's coming from, why he is so ambitious, why he sees things the way he does. And you kind of get this feeling that he was kind of like a Great Expectations kind of kid. His mom died when he was young. He left his dad because he didn't really do anything for him. He winds up with another guy, Elias, I think was his name. And they're kind of just, he's this teenage boy who's just trying to get by. And he's a rain mage, and they call him Rain Mage. And now it makes sense why he says Rain Mage in that first chapter, because that was basically an insult they threw at him. Because all he could do was control rain. And that's what he was stuck doing. And he kind of just waits and has to do whatever he's told. He's dressed in rags and he waters a lawn. That's what he gets paid to do. He gets some leftover stew, some stale bread, and then he's on his way. And he gets beat up, obviously, because what small child, young boy does not get beat up by bullies in a story like this? And they mess him up pretty bad. And it's cool because this man appears to him, and he tells him, "Hey, I'm here to help you. If you are willing to work with me, work for me, then I can tap into some of that potential you have that you don't know about. I just want to see. I want to help you. I have some plans." And it's such a cool moment because Ral's nose is broken, and this man reaches and heals his nose. And obviously healing magic is white or green, usually white magic. So you see this guy, he's just got this gray beard, and then he's wearing all black, and he heals Razorek. His first action with Razorek is to heal him. And Ral obviously is like, yeah, sure, let's team up, whatever it is you want to do. And he goes, my name's Razorek. And the guy goes, smiling, my name is Boros. And I'm like, oh my gosh, yes! It's so cool! It's so cool because it shows like how Razorek, he's been working for Boros for a long time. That's why he doesn't work for him in the current time, because he's like kind of just gotten sick of it. Something happened. Something went down. Maybe Boros gets Elias killed or something. But it's just like, I knew it. Like, it's so cool. And I'm just super excited about what the next chapter is going to show. Is it going to continue from that past perspective? Or is it going to go back to Kaya and show her fighting the Obsidat? I don't know. But I can't wait till next week. It's so cool. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. It's going to be the best. And I cannot wait. It's going to be a good time. with that, I think that this episode comes to a close. I'm not entirely sure what the next videos will be. Maybe there'll be chunks of War of the Spark. Maybe there'll be something about color coordination. It depends on how my time works out. But I can guarantee that I will see you in the next episode. And until then, travel well.